All right, everybody. Hello and welcome to the first ever edition of Goon TV. I am Johnny Stevensley along with
Matt Mayhem.
All right, well, I guess we'll first start off with introductions. Both of us are from Richmond, Virginia. Both big hockey fans, both big wrestling fans, which we will talk about in succession throughout the show. Like I said, since it is hockey season, or at least the end of hockey season into the playoffs time, we'll start off with that first, and then we'll go on more into it. So I guess the first thing we need to talk about is season overview.
Yeah.
Let's go on with that. What do you think?
I think all in all it ended well. Teams who fought the most got into the playoffs. Teams that didn't. You had the Washington Capitals finish off first with the President's Trophy. It's the first time since 09-10 season. Hopefully they can break the curse of the President's Trophy. Hopefully they can just break the curse over themselves.
I mean, number one in fighting over with Pittsburgh and New York for just the number one spot in the entire Eastern Division.
They fought, but conference. Washington carried that conference and that division. Main things we had was we had more offense than ever. We didn't just have OV scoring. We had OV. We had Kuznetsov. We had third and fourth lines producing. Justin Williams, Backstrom. Our defense. Our defense. We stole Pittsburgh's core defense. Niskanen and Orpik, and with Orpik healthy, he's great for us.
They were talking about that in the playoff game yesterday, where it was 4-1 against the Philadelphia Flyers. About how Del Zotto was injured for them, and Del Zotto was one of their big people. And then they're talking about like how Washington's a healthy scratch, and that's pretty rare for any kind of NHL team to actually have. I wouldn't say 100% healthy team because like I said, 82 games takes a very big toll on the body, and honestly, for them to say Washington is healthy enough to go into the playoffs and hopefully for you, because like I said, I don't like the Capitals, but hopefully for you and a lot of other fans that the Capitals, like you said, can break the curse of their playoff runs and win the Cup this year.
You had Toronto. Was it Toronto finishing dead last? Toronto finished dead last. Honestly, they should have had their AHL team play for them. They probably would have had better results. We were talking about this earlier about how there is no Canadian team. Minus my Canadians, and I feel sad about that. But no Canadian team in the playoffs, and good Lord, it has to have been a long time since there hasn't been one Canadian team in the playoffs completely. It's been a while.
So and honestly, you look at other teams that have fought over, and like I said, we talked about this earlier about how, in my opinion, I think honestly the NHL and sports analysts for many different other networks have talked about how more about the wild card spot more than any other playoff team. They're talking about how a couple of losses got Philadelphia into the spot that they're getting into. And then, on the opposite end, they got on the Western Division or Western side, which, like I said, neither one of us care about. Because, like I said, honestly, it seems like the NHL is focusing more on the Eastern Conference more than the Western Conference.
Well, it's been the Western Conference has been dominant for the past few years. The Eastern Conference hasn't won a cup since Boston won a cup. And
2011,
the Western Conference has been the dominant conference, and the Eastern Conference this year has actually just been able to put up some numbers, for once in a while. My father, who's a big Chicago Blackhawks fan. Honestly, hopefully they don't win another cup because I honestly don't want to see another flag waving in front of my parents' house. But Chicago's got a team that they can go because, like I said, as we've seen before, Chicago can go. Anaheim, which is so weird how they won a Stanley Cup back when they changed over from the Kitty Mighty Ducks over to the current the current team that they are now is switching over their uniform, their identity altogether, and now they're the. Like I said, they were a team that were, jokes kind of the league, and now they're,
they're in the playoffs.
Well, I mean, Anaheim's been a good team. This year they were tanking at the beginning of the season. They were not. I mean, everyone thought Bruce Boudreau was gonna get the boot again from another team, but come fucking late December, early January, man, they kicked it into playoff mode then, and they made it to where they're at now.
Of course, and then you got other teams that are in the, like I said, we'll talk about the playoffs and, as much as we can on our segment of the show. I mean, you were talking about the Western end, and you're talking about like Dallas and Minnesota, and they're up 2-0. Dallas is completely dominating them, and I mean, did you honestly think that? Do you think that Minnesota's actually got a shot to even go?
No, if there's going to be a sweep in the Western Conference, it's going to be Dallas sweeping Minnesota. Minnesota just doesn't have it together. I know last year Dubnyk did a lot for them, but this year, Minnesota, they fought hard to get in that spot that they're in that 8th spot, and they just don't have what it takes. Dallas is just going to run right over them. I mean, Dallas has what it takes to get.
Watching some highlights of the Dallas Minnesota game last night. Minus the beating that Philadelphia got, which we will talk about also as well. Dallas seems like they're the strongest team right now in the West, and they're going to show. They're going to show that they're going to go far because I mean it's been since '99 since they won the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
And the last one for Mike Modano, which was really cool. Mike Modano, fantastic player. Then you got team Midwest rivals with St. Louis and Chicago sharing a win apiece.
One good team is going to be exiting out of the first round of the playoffs, which is gonna suck. But I mean, you have two good teams there. But I mean,
do you think Chicago will go past? Because I mean, St. Louis.
I think this is going to go to a Game 7.
Game 7.
I think it's going to go to a Game 7. I mean, St. Louis again is one of the teams that's really fighting to try to get to those Stanley Cup Finals again. I mean, if they don't do much this year, I mean, I see them getting rid of everyone and just building their team around Tarasenko.
Yeah, okay.
I see that happening.
All right. Well, the next set of in the next part of the western part is Anaheim and Nashville. Now, Nashville, I don't think has ever gotten. If they've gotten into playoffs before,
yeah, they've been.
I mean, because I've never seen Nashville go past a certain point.
Yeah, they've been in the playoffs. They haven't made it too far, but the thing is, still, they might have a lead right now, but Anaheim's going to take this. Anaheim's a stronger team. I think they got lucky in the first game. It wasn't Pecorine that was doing it. I mean, Pecorine, I think, is one of the most overrated goalies there is. I don't think he's as good as they crack him up to me. And they've built mainly a team around defense and not they haven't concentrated too much on offense. One of the great things they did was do a trade with the Capitals and got Philippe Forsberg. They didn't have him. Or even bring in James Neal.
We were talking about that before.
Yeah.
You were saying that the Forsberg trade, you said you didn't like it, right? It was a horrible trade.
Worst trade.
I mean,
Worst
honestly,
trades.
like I said, from my side of the spectrum, like I said, I'm always a big, I'd say experience goes over youth. I could be wrong about that, and but usually I'm not. But I think honestly, experience, because like we were talking before about how we'll talk about the Eastern side, but I want to talk about a player individually is Jaromir Jagr. That literally is at the age that he is at, and he is doing extremely well with Florida. And I mean, like we were talking about before, the Facebook meme that they had, they were making fun of Kobe Bryant, who just recently retired, and they had him on one side, and then they had a bottom part that said "so" with Jaromir Jagr. So honestly, if he takes his team to the Eastern Conference and then to the Stanley Cup, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. But we'll talk about that when we get into the Eastern side. But last set is San Jose and Los Angeles, and it's San Jose is holding a one victory over.
I think this is another series that could go to a Game 7. I mean, LA has won 2 previous cups recently, but San Jose is another team that they had Joe Thornton and Patrick Marilyn.
Yeah, that's it.
They got a lot of veteran players on there. Team, and they did that trade with Toronto and brought in James Reimer. They had James Reimer and Martin Jones on goaltending.
You think that Los Angeles is running out of all that mysticism since they won 2 Stanley Cups within the last couple of years?
I mean, Quick's not as quick as he used to be. And
I love goaltenders. I love Jonathan Quick, but I mean, honestly, like I said, I think all that sparkliness that they have, they're gone.
Their defense isn't what it used to be, and they got rid of a good piece that got them those cups, which is Justin Williams. He was a key piece that brought them those 2 cups. I mean, especially their second cup. I mean, he won the Conn Smythe Trophy. So I mean,
big important deal. I mean, honestly, an individual, trophy winners. I love the Conn Smythe. A lot of good players have won the Conn Smythe. I was always a big fan of Jean-Baptiste Giguère for the Mighty Ducks when they went to the Stanley Cup Finals against the Detroit Red Wings and got killed. But Jean-Baptiste Giguère got the Conn Smythe, and I mean, honestly, I was talking to Matt before about this, how this has turned into a goalie's trophy, pretty much, if you think about it, because I mean, not a lot of individual players offhand have actually won the Conn Smythe besides goaltenders.
Right.
A lot of I mean, you think
it's because the goaltenders are the backbone of the team.
Of course,
and
definitely.
They're the ones.
And we both actually have played hockey before, and I'd stick at goaltending, and Matt sticks at defense, which he got a hat trick just recently on a really crappy team. So kudos to this man. But we'll go into the eastern side of things. We got Florida and the New York Islanders sharing a win apiece. What do you think about that?
It's gonna go. I think that's either Game 6 or 7. I see Florida taking it.
We were mentioning this before off camera about how Florida went from pretender to contender. I mean, literally making a NHL record of the lowest attendance in NHL history. I've seen pictures of it on Twitter, Instagram, whatever. It was like on Google Images, but they were showing how, I mean, literally it was just 5,000, I think, or less than 5,000. I mean, that's pretty bad for a team that from South Beach. You just think that oh man, but you gotta factor in.
Where
also,
are you hardcore Florida Panther fans at? Because I mean, I see the stands getting filled now and all these Yager jerseys, but I want to know where the real.
Where were you guys at when they were losing? Because honestly, like I said, I cheer for. Matt sticks with the Washington Capitals hardcore. I stick with the Montreal Canadiens, and I also love the Philadelphia Flyers. Now, last night when I saw Philadelphia get beat by Washington, it really sucked. But I stuck with the idea that let's go to Philadelphia, let's see what we can do, instead of just and I got verbally and mentally bashed by this man and my wife and my friend Wes. Which, like I said, if we can get him on the show, it'd be really cool because he's a big time hockey fan too, big Rangers fan. But it's cool to see the Islanders go for a playoff berth in a long time. And
well, no, I mean they made it last year. I mean we knocked them out of the round last year, and then Pittsburgh knocked them out the year before that. And the thing is with them is they don't have their strongest goaltender, and they don't have a team that has it all together right now.
Now, I mean, here's one point that I wanted to discuss with you about this. Now, with the NHL playoffs and how they bracket everything, in my opinion, putting the 8th seed versus the 1st seed is kind of like, I would say, kind of like a David and Goliath situation. I mean, I always thought of it when I was younger. It was always the 1st, 2nd team go at it, 3rd, 4th team go at it, 5th, 6th, and then 7th and 8th. Until I realized that the 8th seed goes against the 1st seed. And I mean, honestly, that's like putting the crappiest team at one end and then putting the best team on there.
It's exactly what it is.
It's kind of an embarrassment if you look at certain aspects.
I mean, it could be an embarrassment, but also they wanted to tell a story, and I mean, something you put 2 teams like that together, there's obviously going to be a story told. I mean, you go.
You look at also like if the 8th team knocks out the 1st, and I mean that's happened before.
Yeah, I mean in 09. 010 season.
Philadelphia.
Montreal knocked out the Capitals in the 1st round, and then went out to knock out the 2nd seed, which was the Pittsburgh Penguins, and went to the Eastern Conference Finals. Didn't go
no cup,
further.
But knocking out a team like that, it gives you a lot of momentum going into the fact that and it's like we'll talk about Philadelphia in a minute, but seeing a team go from here and fighting a team that's up here, and then all of a sudden you knock that team down, and then you go on to the next round. Even if you lose the second round, I mean, it pretty much gives the team motivation to want to keep going for the rest of the playoff runs into the Eastern Conference Final, Western Conference Finals, into the Cup.
Yeah.
So, all right, next game we're going to talk about, we have to talk about this, is Tampa Bay and Detroit. Now, these teams, according to my buddy Wes, I haven't been able to watch the games due to work, hanging out with my wife, and, according to this man right here. Tampa Bay and Detroit are beating the living hell out of each other.
They're beating the living hell out of each other, but Tampa Bay's coming out on top. I mean, Tampa Bay's going to take it.
We'll discuss about the incident that happened at that game, the line brawl, which is pretty much the new thing. But so you see Tampa Bay taking this whole entire thing, which I can tell right there. Tampa Bay is ahead 2-0.
Yeah.
So, and I mean, like I said, Tampa Bay is known for their Cup win in 2004. So you think they'll go past Detroit? I mean, you don't think Detroit has a chance?
No, I mean, Tampa Bay made it to the Stanley Cup Finals last year. I mean, so they don't have that.
And
much
they knocked out Montreal while doing it.
They don't. They still have somewhat of the same team. No, Detroit has no goaltending. Detroit. I mean, Mezarek is good. Yes, he's good, but he's not there yet to get him through the playoffs.
He's no Chris Osgood.
He's not there, and I mean, Howard's done. Howard's done. I mean, Dadzuk's already planning on leaving the team when when the season's over with. So he doesn't already, expect to go farther. I mean, if he's already planning on going to the KHL. So, Tampa Bay's taking this. Tampa Bay, I say, in 5.
A lot of NHL goalies and players like to go to foreign leagues, because honestly, there's not a lot of pressure built up in a lot of things.